Have you ever looked at your life and asked yourself, is this really it? Maybe you're working every day just to survive, just enough to pay the bills, just enough to keep things from falling apart. And every night you lie awake wondering how long you can keep doing this. Now imagine this. A man once slept in a filthy public bathroom with his 2-year-old son in his arms. No money, no home, no safety net. And years later, that same man became one of the most respected stockbrokers in America. His name was Chris Gardner. Stay with me. This story may change how you see your life. Chris Gardner didn't come from comfort. He grew up in Milwaukee, in a home filled with instability, fear, and violence. His stepfather was abusive. His mother tried to protect him, but survival was already a full-time job. As a child, Chris learned something early. Pain doesn't ask for permission. It just enters your life and stays. But even then, he made himself a promise. One day, if he had children, he would be there for them, no matter what. Years later, after serving in the Navy, Chris moved to San Francisco. Like a lot of men chasing a better life, he believed hard work would be enough. It wasn't. He became a medical equipment salesman, carrying expensive machines from one hospital to another, trying to convince doctors to buy them. Some days he made a sale. Most days, he didn't. Money stayed tight. Bills piled up. Stress grew heavier. And the dream of building a stable life kept slipping further away. The relationship with the mother of his son began to collapse. Arguments became normal. Hope became thin. Chris was working hard, but going nowhere. And that's the cruelest kind of struggle. When you're exhausted, not because you're lazy, but because every ounce of energy is being spent just staying afloat. Would you keep going or give up? Comment 1. One morning, he walked through the financial district, feeling like he was standing outside the life he wanted. Everyone around him moved with confidence. He was just trying to survive another day. Then he saw it, a red sports car, and the man stepping out of it looked completely free, not lucky, not lost, free. Most people would have kept walking, but he didn't. He stepped closer and asked 2 simple questions. What do you do? And how do you do it? The man gave him a simple answer. He worked in finance. That was all. No long speech, no miracle advice, just one answer that opened a new door in his mind. He chased that opportunity with everything he had. Eventually, he earned a place in a financial training program. For the first time in years, it felt like a door had opened. But then came the truth. The training program did not pay. For months, he would have to work, study, compete, and survive, with no salary and a child depending on him. Most people would have called it impossible. He called it his only chance. Because when life backs you into a corner, sometimes the only direction left is forward. Then the worst happened. Chris lost the apartment. He was thrown out with his son and nowhere to go. Think about that for a second. He was trying to become a stockbroker by day, and by night, he was homeless, no stable place to sleep, no reliable money, no comfort, no dignity left to hide behind. He had to carry his little boy through the city, from one shelter to another, hoping to find a bed. And one night, there was nowhere left. So Chris took his son into a public bathroom in a subway station. He laid down a thin blanket on the floor, held his child tightly in his arms, and used his foot to block the door from opening. That image should break something inside you, because this wasn't fiction. This was real. A father trying to make a cold bathroom feel safe enough for his son to sleep. And while his son slept, Chris cried, not because he was weak, but because pain had finally reached the place words can't touch. And right there, on that filthy floor, he made a decision. He would never let this be the end of his story. Not for himself, and definitely not for his son. Would this break you or rebuild you? After that night, something changed in him. He stopped waiting for life to become easier. He stopped hoping the pressure would disappear. And he started moving like a man who had no choice but to win. He woke up early, moved fast, carried everything he had, his son, his bag, his fear, and still, he kept going. He dropped his son off wherever he could, not because it was easy, but because every minute mattered. Then he turned around and ran toward the fight, waiting for him. He made call after call after call. Not like someone trying to impress a boss, like someone trying to survive. Because while others wanted opportunity, he needed it. He studied on buses, read during lunch, memorized what others ignored. He learned how to use every spare second, because wasted time was a luxury he didn't have. Nobody around him truly knew what he was carrying. They saw a man in a suit. They didn't see the homeless father behind the tie. They didn't see the exhaustion, the fear, the quiet panic. But he kept moving, sharper, faster, more focused, no excuses, no wasted motion. Because once a man decides that failure is no longer an option, he becomes dangerous. What would you do if failure was not an option? Then came the moment that changed everything. He was chosen. Out of all the trainees, he made it. And when victory finally arrived, it didn't look glamorous. It looked like relief. It looked like a man finally able to breathe. It looked like finally being able to lock a door at night. Finally being able to give his son a place to sleep. Finally being able to stop running. But the money was never the deepest part of the story. The deepest part was that he stayed. He fought. He became the father he never had. Later, he built a career in finance. He became respected, successful, strong, but he never forgot where he came from. And that matters more than every dollar he ever made. Because success wasn't just becoming rich. Success was keeping the promise to survive, to stay, and to give his son the life he never had. What promise are you still fighting to keep? So, what's the lesson? His story was never just about becoming rich. It was about refusing to let today's pain decide tomorrow's destination. If you're in a hard season right now, remember this. You may be tired. You may be behind. You may even feel broken. But you are not finished. And if you want me to break down the exact mindset and moves that changed this man's life, comment Chris below and subscribe if you're serious about building a better life. Comment Chris or 1. Subscribe for a better life.